Okay, hi guys, Shaun4BigBlocks here. Kind of dropped the ball on this one. I got a lot going on and I had to be in and out with this project, but you know, I hit up YouTube thinking maybe I'd get a couple pointers that would save me a few minutes, and well, I got a 2006 Pontiac Grand Prix 3800 base model, and there's no other examples of doing the crankshaft position sensor, so I figured I'd go through kind of what's going on here. I'm halfway through and I wish I would have tripoded it, but what I can tell you is I got 220,000 miles, and pretty quick here, when I get time, I'm going to put a new timing chain in, try to pick up a few miles per hour or miles per gallon, but let's get to it. Here is my old crankshaft position sensor. That is what she looks like. Hopefully it's not too dark. And in relationship, it would have been on this side, just tucked underneath it on the engine block. When I put it back together, I'll give you a shot of that because I pulled it off before I did this. I went with the Rock Auto OEM. GM wanted $180 and Rock Auto wanted, I think, like $45-50. It's the more expensive one, but as you can see, my top one's my factory 6161, and my bottom one 6161 is the one I bought. Both Mexico. How did they used to say it on the old heads? El Hencho, El Mexico, or what? I don't know. But at any rate, this has been bugging me for about 2 years. And again, I have 220,000 miles, so I've had a lot of luck out of this car. It's been rock solid, but you know, it starts doing its thing where every now and then the idle's a little erratic, and I've had like 2 or 3 times where it's stalled and I had to wait 10 or 15 minutes for it to start back up. All the symptoms that these things are known for having, either when it's really hot or really cold. And right now it's, you know, 105 degrees and it's really hot, and I've kind of been waiting for it to throw out a trouble code or, you know, die completely, so it's a little easier to troubleshoot. And it did. It finally gave me the trouble code, and I'll go ahead and add that to this video later to be more specific on the code. And whether it was the A or the B, I'll add that right where I'm talking here. But at any rate, what I did notice, and I found this interesting, right where my thumb is on the back of this sensor, it's got that burnt out electronic stench. Now, it started fine. I mean, I was able to get it to my shop and all and drive it here, but you know, you could totally smell it. So we're swapping it out, but that makes me feel good because that means I probably didn't have much longer. But here's where it got interesting. All the traditional type pullers, like this one you see here, they're not an exact fit on these newer 3800s. Again, I'm an 06, so I would imagine 05 and up, until they discontinued them because they're a bunch of assholes, were the same. So it's kind of funky. You know, the pulley and the balancer is like all pressed together. I'm not going to take the time to try to rip it apart, but let me try to get you under the light here. There's kind of what we look like there. As you can see, my reluctor rings, these little teeth, I believe, they're all in good condition on mine. I see some security torque bits inside the middle here, so I guess you can rip it apart. Again, I don't have time. This has to be like a quick... Ah, I'm getting a call. Am I still recording? Yes, I'm still recording. Okay. Here's the trick, y'all. I'm going to get this in here really quick, and then I'll be back. The kit that I used, and it can really work with any of the typical pullers or the dials. OEM harmonic balancer puller 27019. That's the kit I used. Okay? But I'm sure all the cheapies and all that would work fine. The catch is, to complete it, you have to buy this additional kit, this retrofit kit, OEM 27296. And what it does is, you can see it adds those 3 special studs, and it adds this little spacer. It's solid. It's beveled, but it's solid. Well, beveled, I should probably say what? Concave. But when you go to pull this off, you got to take this piece first with the little nipple side, and you put that in the engine, because as you can see, you don't got your nice little, you know, inch and a half thick balancer that, you know, us muscle car guys are used to. So, you know, you got to extend this. I actually played with it for shits and giggles, and I would have only been able to move it about 1/4 of an inch before I ran out of space. So that spacer inside first, and then this, of course, going in there. And when you do this other side, you do not put the little cone on there. It's hard to see with my light, but it's got that little O-ring in there that would hold it into that little positioning thing. Oh, here, let me grab it for you. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Where the fuck did my tool go? Here we go. Okay. While we're down here, I'll go ahead and show you what it looks like with it off. Pretty straightforward. Popped off the old tire. And then you got your little shroud right here. That's probably going to be your like second hardest part. Just because you get these little fun guys right here, which if you've never done them before, you have to try to hold this spacer piece down flat while pulling this out. Do not let the Phillips head lead you to believe it'll come out. It's ornamental. I guess it does have a process. If you're in a salty or a sandy area and this gets seized, you could probably spin this a few times to make sure, you know, it's unseized. But 3 of those in the bitch on this one. Okay, this one's easy. Yeah, I cracked it. Bust my balls. This one was not too bad, but that one back there was a pain in the ass. And again, I was rushing it. I got a better tool for it, but I couldn't find it, so I used my old faithful garden tool that's like, you know, it worked just fine. That and a pair of needle nose. So but there you go. I'll show you when I get the sensor back on, but that's where the lower bolt goes, and you can see where the upper bolt goes. Mine was clean. I know a lot of times they say the connection gets dirty or the face of it gets dirty. Mine was relatively clean. I think I'm just getting old age. But, oh, there's my wife calling again, and I can't see what I'm recording. Make sure I showed you this piece again, because that's the piece you omit. That will not fit in the center on an 06 Pontiac Grand Prix. So I think that's about it for now. When I get it back together, I'll add something. And again, I'm sorry, this is not my thorough video that I usually like, but it's something, you know, until I rip it apart again. Oh, I know what I want to add. There's no easy way to get the cover off for the flywheel to be able to put a flywheel tool on there. But let me show you what I'm talking about. Oh, hold on. Okay, this guy right here. This is a flywheel holder tool. Usually you just kind of wedge that up on the flywheel, and that's a Jegs one. And then either you have somebody hold it, or you find a way to rig it in there and wedge it in there. If you got a sidewall, a 2x4 and a sidewall works great. But you can't get that in there because the whole thing's like molded on. You'll see what I mean when you go to do it. Or you can, and I didn't spend enough time fucking with it. But at any rate, I did an old trick that I've never done before, that I've heard a lot of people say they've done, and it worked great. And that's, I took my 3/4 inch breaker bar and I put a socket on there without an extension. You can see when you go to do it where you can wedge it in between two of the aluminum pieces of the frame, and I just barely bumped the ignition, you know, and backed off on it one time, and it popped it loose. And the beauty is, as soon as it pops it loose, the socket falls off, and I cross my fingers. And but like we always say, sometimes it's guerrilla warfare here on the Shaun4BigBlocks channel. I'm going to add a picture, but no shops around me, because I'm in the buttfuck of Bufu, Arkansas. Nobody out here has the tool, but basically what you need, it's a piece of metal that comes up, and then it's hollowed out around the center there. And then these two right here have, you know, like a grade 8 bolts. You can home make it. And that'll stick in there, and then you just got to either wedge it or hold it while you break this loose. I hit mine on the impact with 150, and it didn't budge it. So maybe y'all get lucky and you'll hit it with whatever and you'll break it. But that's how I had to do it. So right now I do not have the proper installer. We'll see if, like the old school, if you can mallet it a few times and then work it in with its own bolt. Stay tuned, and I'll splice that into this video. Okay, life just got better. The crankshaft position sensor is on, and Bunny just came, my wife, and brought me a dew. So, as you can see, all it is, and we don't have the light. You can see, I can point to the bottom one here. We got that bad boy and that one. And then the weatherproof connector, which I'm actually going to leave out because you need the slack. Let me back up. It was a 1/2 inch, which was kind of crazy because just about everything's metric on these cars, but it was 1/2 inch, fit like a champion. But you got this little dust shield. That's what I'm going to call it, at least. And that little hole to the right there that I'm zooming in on is where the sensor sticks out. And it's got 3 positions. This one right here, and then the 2 right where the screws for the bolts for the sensor went on, and it just press fits over that. So I wanted to go ahead and show you that. The other thing I had forgotten to mention, the crank bolt, which I'll show you when I pop it back in, that is 15/16, which on these Buicks, ever since the beginning of time, it's always been crazy torque. I can't tell you the torque off the top of my head. Hopefully I can add that in the video, but good old Rock Auto, when I got my sensor, thought it would be a good idea to send me the wrong book, so I got an 88 through 2004 Grand Prix book, and I was too lazy to look up the torque specs, so I'll figure that out. You can always torque that, you know, last, so stay tuned. I wanted to point something else out here. First off, if y'all haven't tried these LED lights and these little cheap, you know, little light fixtures that, you know, you bang them and drop them and you break the filament, I've had nothing but luck with these LEDs. But at any rate, if I can wedge my light up here, you see this wire right there? You could see where that little plasticky stuff, you could see it peeling off right there. I'm in a position where I don't have time to replace it, but you know, that's a real hot part of the motor right there. And this sensor is known as a problem child for this motor. whether it's a dirty connection or burnt wires or whatever it may be. So if you have the time, I would highly recommend, if yours is like this, replacing it. You know, you can either go pay an arm and a leg at the auto shop, or if you got a Micro Center or a Fry's, is it Fry's or Fred's? Not Fred's. Fry's Electronics. We don't have any in Arkansas, but they sell that stuff in bulk, cheaper than you could even shake your two nuts at. But just wanted to show you that. That's also why I'm leaving it unplugged, because this is going to feed through that dust shield, which I'll show you when I get it on there. Okay, there's your update. We got the old dust shield on there. I got it plugged in. You also got to leave it unplugged because, of course, you have to be able to fish this through the hole from the outer part of this. But mine was really easy on the wire. I can't show you really in the video how that pops in there. If you have the plastic protecting stuff here on yours, it's going to be a lot snugger, but it's pretty self-explanatory. If you're challenged by that part, you probably shouldn't be doing this. No offense. Getting ready to throw the combination balancer, harmonic balancer pulley on. Figured it wouldn't hurt to show you all the part. I went with the OEM. You could save a lot of money if you don't, but it's one of those parts that I personally don't mind lobbing an extra 20 at. But here she is, as of mid-July 2016. That's the part number that they're showing. On their site, it said that it came with that new little pigtail harness, you know, the one that connects to it and goes to the block, but it didn't. I had to supply the washers. I guess that's optional, but if you've played with pullers before, you just kind of learn that that makes life easier. But you could see how these are special. Supposedly it's got this collar built in so that everything, the geometry stays in line in a way that when you're pulling it off, you don't break the crankshaft position sensor. But if you're replacing a bad one, that probably doesn't really matter. So now you can see how basically, if I can hold it here, that was how that piece fit. It's not like a good fit, but you'll see it just kind of self-aligns because this fits into the end and everything just aligns. And I was amazed how effortlessly I had to screw this off. It was like butter. It didn't rotate. I didn't have to worry about holding the crank steady or anything like that. So that'll be the easy part. But you can see how much different this looks than your conventional, or at least what I'm used to, setups. So I guess I will find out in the next 2 minutes here if I'll be able to press this on with the bolt, or if I'm going to have to break down and buy the part. Reluctor ring, and we know that'll take the ring off. And what I am going to do is make sure I got some decent lubrication around this part right here. I'll wipe it off, make sure it's clean, and throw some grease on there and push it back in. It's really important that the seal that contacts that doesn't have a dry spot, or you're going to be pulling it off again to do your seal. Okay, just wanted to show you kind of a half-ass grease job there. If you want to be OCD and meticulous, you can do that as beautiful as you want. Just an opinion, a preference. I use the marine grease because it's better formulated to resist water, which I would imagine your crank sees, especially if you drive through, you know, flood puddles and all that stuff. So probably overkill, but that's what I use, and that stuff's a couple bucks a tube. Just the Wally Special at Walmart. Okay, good news. I went ahead and slid it on. I should have probably pointed out the Woodruff key on the crank. In the provision for the Woodruff key, on the harmonic balancer to line it up. Basically, eyeball it, get it close, and just kind of rotate it clockwise and counterclockwise in small increments, and you'll feel it slide on. I want to say about 1/8 of an inch, maybe 1/4 of an inch. I felt it slide on. And the good news is the bolt's got plenty of room. I'd say it's got about 3/4 of an inch to about 1/2 an inch. And there she is. So I'm threaded right there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. Oh, about 20, 21. As you can see, we got plenty of threads engaged, and it's going to become our puller. So y'all can go ahead and go spend your $10 on a installer tool or whatever it is, or $2,000 on a crap-on snap-on tool if you want to impress your buddies. But I think this is going to work. So I don't think I'm going to be able to get it up to torque, which I'm guessing is in the $175 to $250 range, if it's like the old Buicks were. Again, I'll post it and give you the correct value, but if I get it snug and I impact it, I can either figure out a trick or just drive it to the dealership, and I know they got a spanner, and ask them to do it, or maybe I'll just make the damn spanner when I get time and cross my fingers that it doesn't come out. So that's kind of your judgment call. So stay tuned. Okay, just wanted to let you know I just used my 6-inch and my 3-inch with my 3/4 inch drive ratchet and my 15/16 socket. I went ahead and snugged it down. It went almost as easy as taking it off. And of course now I'm getting to where I got rotation. If I go kind of slow, I do feel some slip where it's still, oh, look at that. It's my little Biana with her old princess dress that she's starting to outgrow. Looking all beautiful.
I'm 5'1", no, 5'1.5".
And what do you weigh?
107 or 8, I'm not sure.
And how old are you?
9.
That's my beautiful. Okay, so going slow, like right now. It's not spinning, but it's tightening. When I was doing it really fast, then it catches. So I'm gonna do now, got some Big Joe here. Cock the hammer. Cock the hammer, it's time for action. Cock the hammer. I am videotaping so somebody out in YouTube world can see how to do this. And maybe make sure that they put this stupid tool the right way and not reverse it. Alrighty. Other than the fact that it's not properly torqued at this point, that spanner that I was talking about now, basically what it would do, it would have 2 bolts that would go into there that would be bolted to a piece of stock. I'm going to say like maybe 1/4 to 1.5 inch thick by about 2.5 inches wide. Have it, you know, kind of where it can come down, and cut out a little sphere. You know what I'm saying? So that you can still get your torque wrench in there or tighten it. I will definitely try to update that for you when I get the tool done. So, didn't want to do it tonight because I don't have a plasma cutter, and I'm just not in the mood to do that much grinding. That'll be tedious. So, we'll do that another time. So, this may be all. All I got to do now is put the belt back on. Because it doesn't hurt to say, when I did this, I initially left the belt on because it gave me that tension when I was breaking the bolt loose. And then after the bolt came out, it's a snug fit. It doesn't wobble off. I didn't have the muscle to pull it off. You know, you had to use the OEM tool I used or whatever equivalent to pull it. And then I went ahead and, you know, took the belt off up top. So I would show you how I did that. I got the Serpentine belt tool, and I did a timing belt on a Honda Odyssey not too long ago, and I can't talk. The tensioner is so tight that it actually twisted my tool. So when I went to use it today, it busted, but fortunately I was able to use a regular long 3/8 inch drive and the socket up top. Maybe I'll show you how I rigged that. Okay, back up top here. Just kind of wanted to show you. I got a longer, it's actually got the pivot, but you don't need that. 3/8 inch ratchet. And it's a real snug fit. The actual tool, all you're benefiting from on this application is it's longer, so you get better leverage, and it's slim. This is not a very good fit with the bulk of this ratchet head, but it works. 16mm socket. Make sure you don't puncture your coolant bottle. They're pretty tough though, so unless if you're being a complete slop ass, you shouldn't have too much issue. But as you can see, I popped my belt on. I was very careful to just kind of lay it to the side, and then all the tension released, and I never had to touch it when I did everything else. So other than just slightly lining it up on the bottom, and I'll probably shimmy this over, you could see where I'm just slightly 1/8 of an inch off. After I end this taping, I'll, you know, neaten it up. But you just take this or the proper tool, and you want to go back towards the passenger seat. Go slow. You don't want to go fast on these because they load up their pressure. And you could do more damage. See how that's loosening? To get it on, you have to basically one-hand bandit it. I don't want to do too much because it's going to slip out of place possibly. But, you know, I did left hand on this and then right hand on this because I'm right-handed. So suit yourself, but that's kind of it. But I wanted to show you that. 16mm. Yeah, you know what? I'll show you my tool. Because it's probably the one that y'all YouTubers are most likely to have. Serpentine built tool OEM 27115. And that's it right there. This is what broke on mine. Again, that the Hondas with the variable cylinder management that shuts off to 3 cylinders, they got a tensioner issue. That's a whole other video, but it takes a lot of tension to load it back. And as you can see, it started twisting the weld. So I guess the crap on guys would say, oh, if you had the snap on, that wouldn't happen. But I'd say, yeah, I spent 17 bucks on it. I'll spend another 17 and still be way ahead. But it also gives you this piece. So if you need to get a different angle, you know, you can kind of clock it because it's a, is that a 12, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So you can clock it 8 different ways to give you different leverage. With a, I love this one-handed tripod at home stuff. With a bunch of sockets and 4 sockets and 3 crow's feet to try to diversify your applications. Okay, we're recording and it's being bad. Let's try turning the camera the right way up. Okay, I need to add something. This is one of those ones that it behooves one to edit it out, but I don't roll like that because this could happen to you. Because it is a counterclockwise, you know, where you're putting the tension, it free ratchets clockwise. The mistake I made when I let go of it to work the camera is I let this fall and it went 45 degrees to the right as opposed to being 90 degrees vertical. And if you could see here, because of how this sticks out about 1/4 of an inch, I lost all my play to be able to get this off. So rather than crack it, I enlisted the help of my, is it a 10 millimeter? 10 millimeter socket to take off these two right here for the coolant bottle. We'll see if I can one-hand jack it, but I'm just gonna shimmy that out of the way. And if you got the time, it would probably make it easier just to do it that way if you're not using the proper tool, because there we go. Sometimes you just got cheat. Use your resources, Danielson. Voila. And go ahead and slide this bad boy back in, and it's got a line to it. So always make sure you didn't disturb this or, you know, anything like that. Go ahead and get our bottle bolted back down, and get a blanket on our bottle, and get our solenoids ready, and purge the nitrous and see if it's ready for a 500 fogger shot. I think we'll be ready to go there, Houston. And these do not have to be very tight. Much easier with 2 hands on these, but okay, that's it. Okay, now's the fun part, Bunny. We get to start it. There's 2 ways to do it. Start it, and then if it starts, pretend like it's my first start and record it and put it on YouTube, or take the chance it doesn't start and show people what can happen. But I know what I'm gonna do. We're gonna kiss Bunny for luck, and we're gonna see if it'll start. Now the reason why there's debate as to whether it's gonna start is because, technically speaking, these are supposed to be reprogrammed on these Series 3 3800 engines every time this happens. By matching up the same part and putting it together as close as it was, I'm crossing my fingers that I get lucky and I don't have the light come on. I haven't cleared out the codes from last time, so we'll see what happens, but I'll add more at the end about what to do if you get the light. I think we're working. I don't see any lights. Nothing better than revving a motor on jack stands, right? Too bad it's a rev limiter. Enjoy. Okay. This is another one of those fun things to do one-handed. As you can see, we're all back together. This should have been at the beginning of the video too. Maybe I'll get a still shot of that. And this is our last thing to do. We got to put that shroud back on. Just when you think it's all over, you're like, oh yeah, more work. Whistle while you jerk. Yeah, this is fun when you're holding the camera. I guess I'll have to start keeping my tripod in the garage. Okay, so does that have to go? It's gonna make me put it down, isn't it? Maybe not. I just don't know how good my left-handed jab is while I'm trying to record. So I think I will have to put you down for a minute, but you kind of get the gist of it. Get those holes to line up.